Ashrechem Yisrael. First, my sincere apologies on my delay, but I think you got the better end of the deal. Baruch Hashem, Ashrecha v'tov lach. It's nice to see tzaddikim that come through on 20 minutes notice. It's a very special thing, and it's probably a limud zchut before Rosh Hashana and Am Yisrael. The thoughts in part Divrei Torah that we're going to say tonight is a memory of the great tzaddik, Rabbi Yeshaya ben Rav Moshe Kastir, Zecher Tzaddik v'Kadosh Levacha, that had the zchut this Tuesday to be by his kever. It's 2 hours away from Budapest, in case you want to go. I called tonight what I've learned when I traveled. Because honestly, I think a lot of my life lessons was when I traveled. And I was inspired by a story that a rabbi in Israel said over, the rabbi of Kal Hasidim in Elad, to think along these lines. People say, "Where's Hashem? I don't see Hashem." And he said he used to give speeches about it, Emunah, Chizuk. Now he says he's in front of your face, just open your eyes. And then he added on a twist. He said, but some people think that's true. He is in front of my face. And I do have to open my eyes, but I'm not worthy. Moshe Rabbeinu was worthy to talk to God, panim el panim. Throughout the generations, there were prophets that spoke to God, whether it was through dreams or other types of visions, as the Gemara says, different types of nivuah. In our generation, we still have tzaddikim that have Ruach HaKodesh. They also have a dialogue with Borei Olam. But me, who am I? And the rabbi said a story that he said he witnessed 2 weeks ago. That's what he said. He witnessed it himself 2 weeks ago. He went away from his community for one Shabbat to be in Yerushalayim in the Old City. He wanted to be by the Kotel for Shabbat and Motzei Shabbat before Rosh Hashana. And for somebody who doesn't frequent visiting the Kotel because of his obligations and his distance and his learning, so obviously when he was right there in the Old City, every extra minute he had, he spent by the Kotel. And this is what he says he saw. Priceless. He sees 2 secular Jews, Shabbat afternoon, coming to the Kotel to pray Mincha. How they got there, we don't know. Let's say they walked. We'll make an assumption, and soon I'll explain why. Step 2. He sees that these 2 wonderful Jews have cell phones on their belts. Maybe they're doctors, Pikuach Nefesh. Still not the end of the world. He sees them praying Mincha. He says they prayed Mincha with such kavanah, even he was jealous. Such Mincha. And then, after Mincha, they read Tehillim. He said, and to his luck, and he meant it not cynically, seriously, they sat right near him to read Tehillim. And he sees them with the Tehillim, word for word, their hearts coming out through the Tehillim. Finally, they finish reading Tehillim, and they go up to the wall, and they're right by the wall, they stand up to the wall, they put hands on the wall to pray. And one guy looks at the other and says, do you have a piece of paper? And he says, let me check. And he starts digging through his pockets. At that point, the doctor theory might have gotten a little room because a lot of interesting things came out of the pockets. Cigarettes, this, that, everything. And he finally finds a little piece of paper. So his friend tells him, we need 2, not 1. He says, this is what I got. If you need paper, we'll share it, we'll split it, we'll cut it in half. Obviously, at Pialacha and Shabbat, you're not allowed to cut a piece of paper, but they cut the piece of paper in half. They didn't know better. And then he tells his friend, do you have a pen? It's Shabbat afternoon. And he tells him, no, I don't have a pen. But what do you need a pen for? He says, what do you mean? We only come once a year to the Kotel before Rosh Hashana. We have to leave a note in the wall to God so he should know what we need this year. So his friend tells him, listen, God doesn't like when people write on Shabbat. That much we don't have to do. And his other friend gets upset and says, what do you mean? But we're not going to be back before Rosh Hashana. We got to leave a paper. Hashem has to know what we need this year. He said, last year worked. I hope they came on a weekday the year before. So we can't ruin our year. And his friend tells him, I have an idea. God knows everything. Not only that, he actually knows better than us what we need. Because we have no idea what's going to come this year. So we have no way to gauge what we're going to need this year. Let's take the pieces of paper, blank, stick them into the wall blank, and say a prayer that God should fill out the papers for us. Baruch Hashem, they were moneh a few Yisurim of Chilul Shabbat. And this rabbi says he's sitting near them while they're standing, and he's imagining to himself the great master of Rav Yitzchak Mibaditcher, Zecher Tzadik Levacha Zchutei Yagen Aleinu alive. What would have he made out of these two Jews and their two blank white papers on a Shabbat afternoon in the hotel? Unbelievable. So I read the story, and I heard it also. He said it over a few places. So I heard the recordings. I was thinking to myself, Rosh Hashanah, we get judged. Beinonim, Tluim V'Omdim, maybe until Kippur. But at the end of the day, Rosh Hashanah, we get judged. And Rosh Hashanah is a day that in the entire prayer, not the entire, but 98% of the prayer, is Malchuyot, Zichronot, Shofarot, V'yeda Kol Pa'ul Ki Ata Pe'alto, everything about God. Imru lefanai malchuyot kedei shetamlichuni aleichem. We don't ask anything for ourselves, to the point that there's a big machloket poskim if you're allowed to even ask bakashot ishiyot, personal requests. So, what the Chachamim will mitaken, like Tfilah L'Parnasah, we say, Avinu Malkeinu we say, but more than that, it's not so simple. And it always bothers people, especially in the young generation. Says, I don't know if I make it to shul every day. I'm finally coming to shul Rosh Hashanah. I have so many things to talk to God about, and now you're telling me I shouldn't? And these two tzaddikim by the Kotel, Hashem should help them find the right way, because they mean well, obviously, gave us the answer. It's okay to give Hashem a white paper and say, you know best. You fill it out for me. But that's a hard pill to swallow, because the human race, by nature, are control freaks, and we like being in control of our own lives. So last night, on a flight from Boston back to New York, United Airlines, no, I'm not promoting them, but it was a fun flight, short, fun. Instead of the flight attendant making all the announcements, we're going to take off, put your seatbelts on, this, that, there was a pilot that had a little bit of a sense of humor. And he came out of the cockpit before takeoff. And he took the thing, I don't know what it's called, the earphone or whatever it's called. And he said, guys, the first officer and the pilot, they always talk from inside the cockpit. Nobody could put a face with the voice. I'm a handsome man. I want you to put a face with the voice. Here I am. And now let me tell you what the gig is. Flight time schedule for this, runway this, all the technicalities along the way. I just came from Newark back to Boston. I'm going back now. It was a smooth ride the way there. We expect a smooth ride the way back. We're actually going to cut off a few minutes from the thing. You'll arrive half an hour early. Always a pleasant thing to hear in today's world. And he's going on and on, like, rambling away. I guess he was waiting for his takeoff time to go back into the cockpit. He ended off saying something. And nothing said without a reason. He said, please keep your seatbelts fastened at all times, even when the seatbelt sign is off, just in case there's unexpected turbulence. But don't worry. I will get you home safe, because I too have a wife and children in New Jersey that are waiting for me to come home tonight. Sounds simple, right? Big deal. Pleasant guy, nice guy, friendly guy. But I had 47 minutes of a flight to digest what he said and the experience I just had. It It was my 5th flight of the week, so no other pilot came out to do that. And then I thought to myself, wait a second. Elul Tafshinayin Tet. Yishai Riva made a nice song about that, by the way. And we look back at a year, and I'm not talking about the spiritual part of the year, because I spoke about that already. And Lev Yodea Marat Nafsho, everybody should make his own spiritual calculations. The day I'll be a tzaddik, Bezrat Hashem, I'll talk about how to be a tzaddik. But I still didn't figure out myself, so I can't help you, sorry. And everybody, in his way, had unexpected turbulence in life, even if everything went overall right. One with parnosa, one with a shidduch, one with health, everybody had something. Unfortunately, some had many things. And now we're coming into Rosh Hashana Tafshin Pei. Tafshin Pei Rashi Teivot Teheh Shnat Pidyon. It'll be the year of redemption, Be'ezrat Hashem. And we want to be redeemed of turbulent times. To the point that we even want to be able to come to Hashem and say, I don't want to wear a seatbelt. I want to just go. Of course, I'll put more thought and everything and get stronger, but I want to go. I want a smooth ride. And Hashem says, it's not far-fetched. I have an eitzah, I have a solution for you. What's the solution? Imru lefanai malchuyot. Say before me malchuyot. We saw Salant asks a very famous question, which Rabbi Tzadok Baza wrote about it a lot as well. Everybody knows the question and many answers. That lichora, it should be the opposite. First we should have Kippur, repent for our sins. Then Rosh Hashana, get judged after we're clean. So if you're Sephardi, you did 30 days of slichot, hopefully you're coming into Rosh Hashana clean anyway. But afal piken, you see Chazal made Kippur. So we have to understand this thing, it's interesting. So, Lefi Darkam, the Baalei Musar say a very simple answer, very powerful answer also, that if you sinned, you have to know who you sinned to. So first comes Rosh Hashana, with Mamlich HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we identify that there's a Borei Olam and what we did. To who? Then our tshuva is a real tshuva. Others explain it as, if you bumped into somebody in the hallway and maybe hurt him a little bit by mistake, and you said, I'm sorry, like, profusely, and started going on your way. Not so polite, by the way. No, but it passes. But if you bumped into somebody and when you're 3 feet ahead, suddenly your wife or your husband or your friend tells you, you know you just bumped into and hurt? That's the chief rabbi of Israel. What do? You make an instant U-turn, go back, and it's a whole new apology. Even though technically it's wrong, maybe Mishum Kvod Talmid Chacham, but besides Kvod Talmid Chacham, it's wrong. Because what does it make a difference? You cause somebody pain, say, you know, everybody deserves an equal apology. But we all know and feel and think that when we understand the greatness of a person and the harm that we did to the great person, our regret is much greater. So this is Rabbi Yisrael and Rabbi Tzadok, each one in his way, say why we have Rosh Hashana before Kippur. But could be there's another pshat. Could be there's another pshat. Let's think about this for a minute. אלוקיי עד שלא נוצרתי איני כדאי ועכשיו שנוצרתי כאילו לא נוצרתי עפר אני בחיי קל וחומר במיתתי הרי אני ככלי מלא בושה וכלימה. God, before, if I wasn't created, it would have been better off. I shouldn't be created. Now that I was created, it's as if I wasn't created, I didn't do so much conducive. And even with what I did do, wasn't I. Hare ani, I am, kechli, like a utensil, malei busha uklima, filled with shame. to understand this. It should just say, Hare ani malei busha uklima. I'm filled with shame. Remorse and shame. Hare ani kekli malei busha uklima. This is the nusach the Chazal were masaking for us. And we have similar nuschaot in the Ashkenaz, in the Sephardic, in all customs. Each one in his own way, in different parts of the prayers. And the tzaddikim, many to the same bi'ur. Amongst them, one of the previous Belzer Rebbes, and many others. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling a person, even if you fell to the deepest place, even if you feel what's going to be over here, and even if you, God forbid, you should never do this, walk into Rosh Hashana and say, what am I wasting my time for? I went in last year, I promised, nothing happened anyway, so I'm going to make a fool out of God again. You got it all wrong. You have to still stay a kli. Hare ani kechli, you're a Jew. And if Hashem gave you a body and a neshama, you're a vehicle that's a chelek eloka mimal that carries Hashem in him. Number one. Number two, Melech, a king. Avinu, he's our father. Malkeinu, and we stress both. A father and a king. What lies in this Melech? Chazal say, Ein Melech belo am. There's no king without a nation. In Israel now, over the politics, there's almost no nation. Everybody's fighting with everybody. If a person is a king, and he has a strong rulership on a lot of people, that's considered a powerful leader. Trump thinks he's the most powerful leader in the world. Could be not, I don't know. Probably it's Putin. But if a guy comes to you and says, I became a king. And you say, oh yeah? King of where? I didn't see you on the news. Where were you elected? I didn't see you run for primaries. Not that it's a great honor. But I didn't see you fundraise. I didn't see anything. What makes you a king? He said, I'll tell you the truth. When I was a little kid, on Purim, my mom used to dress me up like a king. And I always wanted to be a king. But nobody wanted me as a king. So I went and bought an island. It's all mine. I called it a state, and I'm a king. I said, oh yeah, and who's your citizens? He says, me, myself, I, and my shadow. I tell the guy, Meshugana, what's wrong with you? What does that mean? That a melech, a king, has an am, has a nation. Now, if somebody's a king of a third world country where all his people are poor and this and troubled and sick and God forbid, so he might be a king, but number one, I don't know how much his kingdom is worthless or worth. Number two, there's going to be an uprise. You're going to say, you're the king, you're supposed to take care of us. If you can't even run the country, that's it, goodbye. You see in the United Kingdom for years, yes Brexit, no Brexit, this is that. They can't figure it out. Not their rulers, not their huge house, and not the Queen. None of them can figure it out. One day it's like this, the next day like that. They are corrupt, they aren't corrupt. When is it an honor to be a melech? When a person is a king, and he has people in his country that are intelligent and successful and healthy and wealthy and everything good. And anyway they accepted him as a king, or anyway they appointed him as a king, so then it's an honor. That's Rosh Hashana. We come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, you want to go nitpick with what we did or didn't do? If we did mitzvot, avirot, this, you're right. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen? That your children are going to come out wounded? So what's Klal Yisrael going to look like? So for your sake, the better off you make us, and the better year you give us, your name is glorified in the world. Zochreinu lechaim, Melech chafetz b'chayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu remember us for life. Why? Because you're a melech, and therefore, chafetz b'chayim. You want your people to be alive. V'kotvenu b'sefer chayim. And now write us in the book of life, whether we deserve it or not. L'ma'ancha Elokim chayim. Because of you, Ribono Shel Olam. And even if God forbid this judgment, Elokim midat adin chayim. Your honor is our life. And this is an eitzah duka, besides for getting your prayers accepted, to pass Rosh Hashana Kippur peacefully. To go into Rosh Hashana, Nefesh HaChaim hints to it, by the way. Thinking and praying for Kvod Shamayim. Ribono Shel Olam, if I feel good, it's your honor. Ribono Shel Olam, if I have parnasa, it's your honor. If I have a shidduch, it's your honor. If my kids grow up to be Talmidei Chachamim, it's your honor. So forget about me. What's at stake is your honor now. So l'ma'ancha, for your sake, Elokim chayim, even if God forbid is an Elokim, it should convert into chayim. It should just be a life and a good life. And then comes the next part, to really believe it and to identify it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'hakol nהיה b'doro. So here's what I learned from traveling. Normally I don't like staying in people's houses when I go different places. Number one, I'm a shy person, believe it or not. I don't like it. Number two, sometimes I go through this horrific experience that you come to a front door and they tell you to take off your shoes. If I remember correctly, in the Rambam, the only place it says to take off your shoes is by the entrance of the Beit HaMikdash, nowhere else. Maybe these people are living in such a Mikdash Ma'at that it's such a high level. Could be, I don't know. Once I was by a house, I'll tell you, this is an amazing story. And I saw that they take off the shoes or whatever. Normally I don't do it, but this time I said, you know what, I don't want to cause issues here, I don't know. It's a guy I didn't really know that well. And so I took off my shoes, I walked in barefoot. I'm sitting on the couch in the living room, and across from me, there's a 72-inch screen. 5 minutes into the conversation, we're a little talking, he pours me a little l'chaim, we're eating some cake. I get up, I said, 1 minute, I forgot something by the door. I went to the door, I put my shoes on, and I came back. I sit back down. The guy looks at me like I fell off the moon. And he says, Yaakov, listen, I know you're a character, but this is a little funny already. You might be crossing the lines of character too. So I tell you the truth. I don't take off my shoes nowhere. Leave me alone. The Arabs in Machshamam, before they go into the mosques, take off their shoes. In a synagogue, we don't take off our shoes. That's for sure, Mikdash Man. I said, but when I saw everybody but you takes off their shoes by the door, I figured it must be your house is so holy that you're the Beit HaMikdash of 2019. I said, and if that's the case, maybe I should respect it. But then when I sat down and I saw 72 inches of Tumah playing, I said, Hashem is for sure not here. He ran away a long time ago. So there's no more Beit Mikdash. So what do I have to walk around barefoot for? So I went back, I put on my shoes. God looked at me, frozen, for maybe 60 or 90 seconds that felt like a million years. I don't know, it just felt like it was never ending. And and sometimes you're stuck. You need that good joke to break the ice again, and nothing was coming to mind. And he tells me, come, give me a hand. I said, what do you mean? He said, come, give me a hand. So I stand up. He walks to one side of the screen, I walk to the other. He says, let's take it off the wall. I said, where are we putting it? It's in the basement, in the garbage, I don't care. Here, it's not going to be anymore. So I told him, in the basement, you're going to want to bring it back. I have an idea. He's a wealthy guy. Besides for his house, he has a back house for the maids. Because he doesn't want the maids to live in his house, so they live in another house behind his house. I said, the Goyot, they need this. Let's bring it to them. So we went to them. We brought them the screen. They were very happy. They had small ones. Now they had a big one. I don't know how good it is for their job. Maybe now they stay in the back house all day. But if not for that, it was okay. Then we come back to the front door to go into the house, and I take off my shoes. I said, now we have a Beis HaMikdash. A few months later, I was curious if it went back, so I went to visit again. Baruch Hashem. He has 72 inches wide of Sfarim. He put in 3 bookcases, ceiling to floor, bought Sfarim. I don't think he knows what he bought, but that's a separate story. But at least that's what's there. He was probably one of those that went into the bookstore and said, give me, 16 inches of red books, 18 inches of blue books, whatever, just to make the color scheme match. There are a lot of interior decorators that tell me that that's part of the request, to build a study with one interior decorator took it and told me a crazy story. She said she built a house for somebody, an Orthodox Jew, a wealthy man. She built him a huge Bet Midrash downstairs. And she said just the construction of all the custom woodwork and everything that was there, some crazy fortune of money. I don't remember the number, but something absurd. But okay, for a mitzvah, that's a beautiful thing. She says the job was done, and he came to inspect. He said, now the truth is I didn't order him the books. He learned in yeshiva, he knew how to order Sfarim. He ordered enough to fill it up. He got a librarian to put everything there and to make, marks and a catalog and the whole thing. And now we're going around the house, and when we come downstairs to the study, he takes a hammer and he starts banging the moldings and the table, banging cracks, chips. And I'm yelling at him, is he crazy? You know how much money is in this? You know what it's going to cost to fix this now? He says, I don't want it fixed. He said, what do you mean? So what did you build it for? He says, I have kids. They're very young. My oldest is 4. One day they're going to grow up. Lo aleinu v'lo alechem, I don't learn. I don't have time to learn. I'm busy at work. I get distracted. I don't learn. What's going to be when my son is 13 years old and goes downstairs to study, and he looks at me and says, Daddy, why does the entire library look brand new? You never used it in the past 10 years? What am I going to tell him? He says, I'm taking a preventive measure, and at least I'm causing some damages so it should look used. Hashem should help, we should use it, and we shouldn't have to do it, come on to this. An interesting way of a person thinking. It's also a form of a melech. It's a person what's a melech? Chazal say melech poretz geder, a person who could pretty much do what he wants, right? He has full control. Somebody has control over his thoughts and his ideals and sacrificing the beauty of his house for such reasons. Now, I'm not advising everybody to do this, but the idea behind it, it's also a certain amount of malchus. But reason number 2 that I don't like going to somebody's house to stay is because I don't know what the accommodations are going to be like. Now, I don't sleep much, but the couple hours in 24 that I sleep, I need to. And I'm a very light sleeper, and I'm a very finicky sleeper. So what happens if I come to a house and they give me a box spring and a thing, and I don't know what, that's had better days, then it's going to be bad news. So I used to say, worst case, I'll go learn in the meantime, and I won't sleep. But then they ask you, how was the bed? And then you either lie or you don't lie for the sake of peace, but next time you're getting the same thing again. Or not coming back, but one way or the other. So it's easier to take a hotel. You don't bother anybody, nobody has to work for you. This is the way it is, it's easier. One of the things that I think all of us will agree makes sleep uncomfortable is a narrow mattress. Right? We have all different sizes, king, queen, twin, double, Now imagine you had a military mattress. I don't know if you ever saw those. They're like more narrower than a cot. And if you have that sponge that the Israeli soldiers have in the military, then kaparat avonot. Until you adjust to that, you don't sleep too well, and for years later, your back hurts. Yeah, it's true. But listen to the amazing thing that I paid attention to this week. I get onto a flight on Sunday. I went to the Baal Shem Michelstadt, Zecher Tzadik L'Vachas Chutei Yagen Aleinu. I had the schut to tag along with a great tzaddik from Bnei Brak, a Motche Gross. a wonderful tzaddikim from America that joined, and from Israel. That's very special, very, very special. And I think I prayed the longest shacharit I ever prayed, definitely on a weekday or a holiday, maybe even longer than Rosh Hashana Kippur that day. It was pretty intense, I got to tell you. So I get onto the plane, and I'm a frequent flyer, so you get upgrades. So I'm upgraded, sir. Yeah, we got this in the seat. They take your old boarding pass, they give you a new one. It's always a good feeling. Those are one of the changes in life that I like. And you get a free ride up front. So I looked at my app because I was curious, the difference in prices between the cabins. And I saw astronomical price differences. I'm talking about thousands and thousands of dollars. And what was the punchline of the difference? That in the upgraded seat that they gave me for free, it lies flat, and it becomes about a 21-inch wide bed. If you would come to me tonight and say, go to sleep on a 21-inch bed, I would tell you, I stay up all night. No, thank you. But suddenly, if I'm in the air, it's worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Not only that, I saw a guy, he was sitting with his wife, I guess the first time he flew first class, he was taking selfies, pictures, posting it. He was so proud of himself. I wanted to tell him, Meshugana, you have a king-size bed at home. This is embarrassing. You're not embarrassed? This is a disgrace. Now let's go further. If instead of the beautiful Seudat tonight in honor of Shayla Zechat Tzadik Livracha, they served you tonight a little tin thing with half frozen, half not frozen, 6 months old, microwaved, whatever, fish. Even I said it, you made tshuva, there wouldn't be a shiur. Everybody would go on strike. And when you're 34,000 feet in the air, they serve you a little tin, wrapped, microwaved, if you're lucky, defrosted, and everybody eats. And not only do they eat, they have whole websites that rate airline food. What's there to rate? I give one big 0 straight across the board. You wouldn't eat it on a normal day. You'd say, kill me and I won't eat this. I once had a guy sitting near me on a flight, a wonderful guy, an Irishman, we keep in touch till today. He's just a friendly gentleman. And they served a meal. I don't eat airline food anyway for other reasons, but besides for the fact that it's not so appetizing. So I bring along a sandwich. I think it works better. So I take out my good corned beef sandwich. I get to eat. And he's getting one of these trays with the meal. Yeah, they put him up in a thing, a tablecloth, the whole thing they put him, but it was still disgusting. And he's looking at my corned beef sandwich. I see his eyes on it. He said, he should just not make an ayin hara on my sandwich. I need to eat this thing. I don't know when my next meal is coming. I'm going to be away for a few days. But I saw his eyes really on it. I felt bad. I couldn't take a bite. So before I got up to wash, I took a knife. I cut the sandwich in half. I put half on his plate, on his his tray, whatever you want to call it. I left half for me. I said, half is also good. Let's make a Kiddush Hashem. And he says, that was so generous of you. Thank you. I love corned beef. And he starts telling me, he goes to Manhattan to some kosher deli. Turns out it's not even kosher, but whatever. They convinced him it's kosher style. Deli. He's like, oh, it doesn't make a difference anyway. And he buys the corned beef and it's unbelievable and this and that. Made his night. A few minutes later, the flight attendant comes to give him his meal, and he's like, no, thank you, I'll pass. And he looks at me and he says, nothing's going to outdo a corned beef sandwich. So I told him, dude, how much do you pay for your ticket? Tell me $6,500. I said, you want to know how much I pay for that sandwich? $12.31, tax included. I said, you get the paradox here? And you only had half. So we're at $6.15.50. That's more exciting to you than what they're serving you for $6,500. Why? He said, what do you mean, why? Because at home I can go to any Michelin restaurant I want. In the sky, it is what it is. This comes back to me because we say in the prayer, Elokeinu shebashamayim, and a long list of requests along with that. Our God in heaven. We're chelek Elokam imal. And the first day something goes wrong in our life, we're already all upset and have complaints and get depressed and this and that and the other. Hashem gives you an eitzah. Elokeinu shebashamayim. Think you're in the sky, no? Not so bad after all. What do you mean think I'm in the sky? I'm not in the sky. Okay, so I'll tell you got it all wrong. The Mishnah says in Pirkei Avot, Ha'olam hazeh domeh leprosdor, v'olam haba letraklin. There's just a hallway. Very famous story with the Chofetz Chaim, I'm sure everybody knows. That once a wealthy man came to him, and the Chofetz Chaim didn't have any furniture, and he asked him, "Where's your furniture, Rabbi?" So he said, "Where's yours?" He said, "What do you mean, where's mine? Come to my house in the town I live, you'll see furniture." Ooh, furniture. So the Chofetz Chaim says, "No, where is it now?" He says, "At home." He says, "Why isn't it with you?" He says, "Because I'm traveling." The Chofetz Chaim said, "I'm also traveling. I'm traveling for 70, 80, 120 years in the best case scenario. If we went on vacation and flew coach and sat in a 30-inch chair, caged in the back row, probably everybody experienced that once in his life. Were you upset the whole way? Hopefully not. Why? Because you're going to Barcelona on vacation. So you're excited. If you're going to Israel, Kavachomer. Why do you think El gets away with murder? Because they know people are so excited to go to Israel, they don't have to give you anything on the way. Besides, it's not Stam, it's a Jewish company. Right? It's owned by Jews. And Chazal say, Eretz Yisrael niknet b'yisurim. To get the merit of Eretz Yisrael, you got to suffer along the way to get there. What should we do? So Allah is very mahmir to make sure we do that with all the chumrot and all the deot. Eretz Yisrael niknet b'yisurim. I have nothing against Allah. I love Allah. I have a lot of friends from Allah that listen to this class tomorrow. I don't want to press anybody's button the wrong way. I mean it. I love Allah, they love my bank account. We have an interesting relationship. But that's also, but if I have a destination, so it's worth the struggle. So let's take that as the long term, which was the Mishnah. If I have a destination, Gan Eden, Olam Haba, Biat Mashiach, so it's worth the struggle along the way. But if I don't believe in a destination, if my life has no purpose beyond whatever I'm eating today for lunch, so then what's left? And everything along the way bothers me. This hurts, and this upsets me, and this annoys me, and why did this go wrong, and why, and why, and why, and why? And on that we say, Lama, why? Yamru Bagoyim, the Goyim say. Why is it the Goyim that say Lama? Because they have no goal, they have no purpose. If there's no purpose, you're always saying why. But if there's a bigger picture to the thing, if there's a real purpose, if there's a greater destination, so suddenly there's no more lama. The Jew says, Ma Hashem Elokecha Doresh Nimach, not lama. Ma. What does Hashem want from me? And where am I going with this? Where's my destination? Amazing. Trick number 3 for Rosh Hashana. You know what? I'm going to elaborate on this a drop more. If you live life like that, so number one, hopefully you should be blessed and have everything happy, healthy, and easy, your whole life, with the whole Am Yisrael. But even if something goes wrong, you don't become a complainer. Why is that so important? Who's it more fun to give a gift to? Somebody who smiles and says thank you, or somebody who just ignores you as if you never got it? Obviously, somebody who smiles and says thank you. So who does Hashem prioritize when He gives out gifts? Those who smile and say thank you for the gift they got. So if you live a life that revolves around being thankful, and you can only do that by learning how to eliminate all the obstacles and struggles throughout the day that normally would get you upset, then suddenly HaKadosh Baruch Hu has an incentive, Kaviyachol, to give you more and more and to upgrade all the time. My next lesson I learned from traveling. So when you start flying with an airline, so you make yourself a frequent flyer, because why not earn free mileage? And if you're Jews, we love miles. And you have no status. When you board Group 9, then you spend some money, fly some miles throughout the first month, week, whatever it is. It's all relative, how much you fly and how much money you spend. You get upgraded, silver status. A little more, gold. And each one comes with perks. A little more, platinum, 1K, global services. That's United's thing. I just flew United, that's what I'm thinking. HaKadosh Baruch Hu works with a person exactly that way. At the beginning, he says, let's see what the story is with you. Let's see how long you're going to travel with me. Let's see how loyal you'll be to your destination and to the carrier to your destination. Let's see how much credit you'll take for yourself in your success and how much credit you'll give me. When you gave God credit by saying thank you, then now you traveled His airline. When you gave yourself credit for doing well, you traveled your own airline. Your own frequent flyer program is not I. Hashem's frequent flyer program is very good. Now you get upgraded, status after status after status, and you build your way up. And at one point, global services that tzaddikim could see from one part of the world to the other and control the world. Because Baruch Hu says, the Gemara says many times in Bali, that when a tzaddik says something, not only tzaddik gozer v'akadosh Baruch Hu mekayem, and if a tzaddik says something, Hashem does what the tzaddik says. Even if Hashem Kavyachol said otherwise first, but over here a tzaddik said otherwise, nitzchuni banai. The tzaddik won him. And Kavyachol Hashem is to change his mind. Pele, unbelievable thing. So another eitzah of coming into Rosh Hashana, okay, is to have a plan on how we're joining God's frequent flyer program. One person can do it with a chapter of Tehillim, the other person can do it by coming to Shul more often. Each one knows, Lev Yodeh Amarat Nafsho. Each one knows what he should be doing. There's nobody who knows what you should be doing better than you. When they ask me, what should I take upon myself this coming year? I say, I have a good idea. Look in the mirror and figure it out. Because nobody knows you better than you. You know best what's good for you. Of course, the Chachamim gave Eitzot and different things, but Etzim. Okay. Every year we mention, so we're not going to explain why, we're just going to say the quote. Rabbi Yisrael Salanta writes, if somebody wants to be guaranteed that he's going to come out of Rosh Hashana in the best way, he should be Isha Rabim Srichim Lo, one that many need. Now, of course, in our shiur we don't even have to discuss that. With the amount of tzedakah and chesed we do all day, Hashem shall help further, we're all Isha Rabim Srichim Lo. But another observation from traveling. So I'm sitting in this lounge in the Frankfurt airport, waiting to board a flight from Frankfurt to Budapest. As after I was in Michelstadt, I wanted to go to Tosh, the town Tosh, and then to Kastir. And I'm hungry. I took some food with me, but nothing too healthy, because the healthy stuff, gets spoiled after a few hours. So there's only that many rugulas you're going to eat. After a while, it's not enough. And suddenly, Advar Pele, two Hasidic Yidden come into the lounge, and I can hear on their accent that they're from the United Kingdom. And a Yid sees another Yid, Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom, how are you? What's doing? Who are you? What are you? I tell a guy my name. He says, I knew you looked familiar. Hold on a second. He pulls out his phone. He shows me he's on one of my WhatsApp groups. So I asked him if he liked my shiur last week. So he said, yes. I said, so why didn't you donate? That's what I told him. I said, so why didn't you donate? He said, you're right. 1 second. He pulled out money and he right away gave Va'ayin Yafa Mod. We ain't know. And then I'm sitting there and he tells me, no, there's nothing to eat in this lounge that's kosher, but a l'chaim we can make. Let's make a l'chaim. I said, fine, a l'chaim we're going to make. But I'll tell you, for me, it's like a quarter of a shot because I'm on an empty stomach. I don't want to, it's not good to drink on an empty stomach. It's as if his face turned like a ghost. He's a Yid on an empty stomach. There got to be something in my bag. Wait a minute. And there in the lounge, 2 Hasidic Yidden in the middle of Germany are opening up their bags and starting to go through. And sure enough, he found food. His wife is an Eshet Chayil. She packed all different things. There was some left. He also went to Michelstadt. But he was an hour away, so he had some leftovers. And he tells me, don't worry, it's all the hummus you want. Yasham, this, that. My wife's Eid, Bishu Yisrael, even for the Sfaradim. Anything you want, everything's good. You could eat Yochlu Anavim V'Yizbal. And there I'm sitting, eating his wife's food. And by the way, when you watch this tomorrow, thank you. And enjoying every bite. And then I'm thinking to myself, an unbelievable thing. I've traveled a lot in my life. A lot more than anything you'll imagine. And there were years that I fly more than it's legal for a pilot to be on a plane, just to put things in perspective. Between the speeches and Parnosa and Kivas Tzadikim and this and that, it's, if 10 days go and I'm not in an airport, I have withdrawal symptoms. Unfortunately, they didn't make Narcan yet for airports. So I have nothing to help me with my relapses. So I go on the next flight. No. In all my years, I never saw anybody in any lounge, on any flight, open up his bags and start digging for food to feed somebody else. Never saw it. I've seen people in a store buy their friend that was flying with them a bag of potato chips, as if they did the world a favor. But that's it. Klal Yisrael's pure. It's an unbelievable thing. But I wanted to have fun with this guy. He's a nice guy, friendly, fed me, we had a drink together. So let me have fun. I had time still till my next flight. Tell him, Tzaddik, I want to ask you a question. He said, what? I said, let's say I wasn't who I am. You didn't know who I was. You would also do the same thing? He said, sure. I said, and let's say I was Israeli. He was Satmar, so I purposely picked Israeli. Would you also do the same thing? He said, what's the question? I said, and let's say I didn't have a kippah on and instead I had a little ponytail in the back. Ayid is Ayid. What's the question? I said, now I have one more question. With that, I'm done. And be careful what you answer, but I wanted to be honest because you're going to be quoted. I said, and let's say I'm the Israeli with the ponytail and everything, and I want to come to your house for a week. Would you let me in? He tells me I'll pay for your hotel somewhere else. And he meant it, by the way. I said, well, why wouldn't you let me in? He said, because I'm scared for the chinuch of my other children and my children and whatever. They shouldn't learn things that I raise my kids very sheltered. I don't want them to be exposed. I said, now let me ask you something else. Let's say today your kids were with you over here. Let's say they were with you. Would you still give me food? He said, sure. I said, so wait a second. If a Jew meets a Jew and they're not alike in some foreign country or in an airport or somewhere weird, so right away, hello, makes no difference what. But in my own house, I already discriminate between Jews. I said, shouldn't it be the opposite? In my own house, there's no discrimination. On the road, I got to think about myself. So I learned another great lesson. One of the ways to join God's frequent flyer program is to live like a frequent flyer. When a Yid meets another Yid in a country that there's almost no Jews, what a warm hug. Doesn't make a difference what background, what nationality, what if he is religious, isn't religious, what he's up to in life. Nothing makes a difference. Hugs, kisses, help, anything you want. No, maybe we should apply that to our daily routine at home. That every Jewish child should always be welcome. And no Jewish child should never have a seat in a Jewish home. And then you're Isha Rabim Tzrichim Bo. You're a person that the Rabbim needs. Somebody shared with me an amazing story. He calls me and he tells me he had a nest. This was a couple of years ago, I don't know exactly when, in the past 3 years sometime. And he wanted to know a halakha question if he has to make a blessing at Tov HaMetiv. I said, what's the nes or what's a Tov HaMetiv? I said, for a nes, normally you say a gomel. He said that he was living in a 2-bedroom apartment with 6 kids, b'li ayin hara. By now he has more. I know because he invited me for one of the Brit. And it wasn't working so well, 6 kids, 2 bedrooms, it's a little bit hard. But he didn't have money. He was very poor. And he couldn't afford rent for a big apartment, he couldn't afford to buy a house. Kids, it wasn't good. He didn't know what to do. So he davened. That was all he could do. That was his shadut, to daven. And he always looked out, maybe a foreclosure or something that he could somehow afford, a little bigger, even if it's 3 bedrooms. Also, when you're in 2, to go to 3 is a big deal. He said that one day he gets a phone call from an attorney. It was the day he called me, saying that he has a great uncle that lived in an island called St. Thomas. That was a Holocaust survivor. He passed away. And he used to call him every Rosh Hashana to wish him a Happy New Year. That was the extent of their relationship. This guy, turns out, made a lot of money. And when he passed away, he didn't want his money to go to the government. He didn't have kids or a wife. So he wrote in his will that his nephews, from the only brother he had, they should get everything he has. He got a couple of $1 million, I don't remember. He told me the exact number. It was over $2 million in one shot. As an inheritance. And he's buying a house with it. So he wants to know, when he moves into the house, does he have to say Atov Amitiv? So I said, no, it says when you move into a new house, you do say Atov Amitiv. Some people don't have that custom, but in general. And on Yerusha, you also say Atov Amitiv either way. So even without the house part. Calls me back 2 days later. I thought maybe he found that I made a mistake in the halacha and he wants to tell me you got it all wrong. I pick up. I said, Tzaddik, what happened? So he says, I called to tell you the rest of the story that I didn't know. I just found this out. He said, what? He said, I was going with my wife for the broker house shopping, now that I have money to buy a house. And one of the houses my wife sees, and she says she wants this house. I didn't really want it. It was a little further from the area that I wanted to live. A few blocks further out. And I could get something closer. But she was insistent, this is the one she wants. So I turned to her and I said, why this one? It doesn't make sense. Logically, the other ones are same price and it's closer. Maybe there's a drop bigger, but the few feet won't make a difference. We're used to living in such a tiny thing. So she says it has bedrooms in the basement. So he says, and therefore what? You want to rent out the basement? What do you want to do? She says, no, let me tell you something. For the past 2 years, it was very, very hard for me. I never told you because I didn't want it to be hard on you too. Raising 6 kids in 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Imagine what bedtime looks like. Davar shelo ba'la olam. Not so practical. Do you want to know something? Let me tell you something. I used to daven to Hashem every day and say, Rebbeinu Shalom, send me money in any way you want. I'm not telling you how to do it. That I should be able to buy a house for the sake of having guest rooms. And comfortable guest rooms. And many guest rooms. And now that Hashem did an ace and sent us the money and we're buying a house, we're not going to make a house with comfortable guest rooms. This house is better for guests. There's a private door on the side, there's downstairs, there's this, that. And I told him, and guess what? Your uncle didn't die and leave you an inheritance. He could have left it for dogs or for other things that people leave their money for today. Some billionaire that I know left a lot of money now to save cats. Sugar. People starving all over the world, he wants to save cats. But he lived a life like a cat, so it's befitting for him. Made a mess everywhere he went. He had never got married, never had kids, never this, never that, no loyalty. Good guy, Nari. I said, your wife beat the system. I said, in Shemayim could be, I don't know what goes on in Shemayim. But could be, you didn't deserve this. But she went to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and said, this is not for me, it's for you. So now this. When Hashem heard, it's for you, Hashem said, fine, you could have. When a Jew thinks along the lines of smiling to another Jew, of sharing with another Jew, of helping another person, of being kind, giving, helping society at large, being kind to society at large, you have to make a kiddush Hashem wherever you go. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it's my name at stake. I don't want Chilul Hashem to come out. People shouldn't be able to say, Lama yamu goyim Elohim. Goyim shouldn't be able to say, where's their God? They're faithful to Torah and mitzvot, and look what lives they have. And then Hashem says, L'mancha Elokim Chaim. I'm going to give you a good life. Because it's for me. It has nothing to do with you. You deserve it, you don't deserve it. It has nothing to do with you. And this is what we daven to Rebbeinu Shalom. Tichle Shana v'kivlotea. Klal Yisrael had many, many great things this year, but a lot of suffering. I was late tonight, La'aleinu V'La'alechem. I was with a close friend. He was in the hospital. Hashem should help. He should live to daven on Rosh Hashana. He needs a lot of Rachim Shamayim together with many, many Cholei Yisrael. Frightening. But this is the Eitzah. Each one of us does his, and Hashem is a Melech. And we pray to God, Teheish, not Pidyon. It should be a year that finally Hashem redeems us, and He redeems us benachat u'brachamim, in joy and besimcha, without any suffering, without any struggle along the way. And Be'ezah Hashem, we should be zochet to be mekabel p'nei Mashiach tzidkenu v'imera v'yameinu benachat u'besimcha, amen v'amen.